of importance to you, but you're really just opening up a larger can of worms when what we're here to do is solve problems. And the problem at hand is the same one we've been working on for a month, maybe longer.
Let me interject here real quick. If you write the ordinance correctly, if you write a charter ordinance correctly, if we would have written Charter Ordinance 19 correctly, you wouldn't have had problems with that. If they would have written Charter Ordinance 24 correctly the first time around, we wouldn't have had a problem then. They didn't write that one correctly. They repealed it with 25. They replaced it with this. But if you properly wrote a charter ordinance, we could eliminate a lot of these problems.
I agree.
But the problem is that we can't get any traction moving towards that charter ordinance. And honestly, a lot of it is because you stalled the conversation by constantly being argumentative.
Wow.
Because you don't want to move it forward.
Well, no, I want to make it legal. I think I've been very clear about that.
I want to make it legal too.
But the way to make it legal is to address the problem at hand, which is the EUB. And all I hear from you is 3 other letters, BPU. So let's attack let's don't say that the BPU is the solution to a much smaller problem. Let's solve the problem. We've already asked.
The only thing that we've got consensus on, and hell, after this evening, I don't know that we've got that.
No.
So, I would like to see KMU or somebody, I don't know who, if they're the right experts or not, come in, present to council what they see out there, let us ask questions, let everybody address the questions of the BPU, and after that presentation, we decide at that time how we move forward. Is it definitely a BPU, and if so, then we get a group together. What does that look like? And as far as the existing ordinance, I personally have no desire to look at this. I feel like I said before, creating a charter ordinance, I believe, will do the same thing that the original ordinance, which we didn't pass, would have done. And I feel like our time is better spent looking at the policies that we like and looking at changing those for the rest of the city. And then that particular ordinance is a non-issue.
I think Christy's had a great point about that part, the institutional changes that come into play. But the other piece of it is bringing someone in. Boy, the one takeaway you have to say is we need help with how you build towards that solution, because we just haven't made any progress. We need help of how someone goes from where we're at, and if there's a consensus to go to the BPU and how that is, how do you build towards that solution? How are those conversations led? How are those questions asked? How are they addressed, and who's involved in that? That's exactly where we need help.
Yep.
Now, I'm on a different page. I've said all along that there was a C option that could have been considered, which is what Steve's talked about. There are some of the things that we cannot home rule out that we could fix right away just by fixing the ordinance. There's some pieces. I still think there's a way for limited authority within there. But that's you and I just having fundamental differences to it. There's nothing wrong there. But there are ways for us to fix some of that in the meantime, while we're waiting for Colin to come and present it to us, while we're walking through that process to create, or not to create, but actually to disintegrate some of the issues that we've already ran into where, Laura's not in a position to approve some of the expenditures because of some of these pieces. We could solve some of those things. We could address the institutional level purchasing policy very quickly. That doesn't have to be a very long conversation.
I agree.
That can be fixed in the long term. So some of these
Totally
things,
agree.
my problem all along, and I hate to say it again because I don't want to go back to it, but we had an A solution, a B solution. The C solution was where I thought the answer was, and I think the C solution we still have an opportunity to work towards quickly while we're down the road looking towards a level that might include the BPU and some of the findings where and how that's built up. That's what I wish we would have gone towards, and I think we still can. But we need help of how we go towards that BPU. Consensus with the mayor, individuals on council say that's what we want to explore, we want to explore fully. Obviously, we're not leading that charge very well on our own, and we need someone to come in and say, this is how we've seen it done, and this is a model I think you could follow.
And I think we can incorporate, we don't have to take one specific means. I mean, McPherson is not the be-all and end-all. Neither is Ottawa, and neither is KCK. I think that we can look at all the different aspects of all the different publicly run utilities out there and craft one that would be the best, would serve Gardner the best, because we are unique. We're not like everybody else. I know that there's a model and a pattern, but and I agree with Chris in that we don't want to rush into something like this. We want to take our time, be deliberative, and be methodical. There is an immediate issue, and I think that we could do that through policy. I think we could probably address 90% of the issues that we have. Purchasing, employees, how how we run the budget aspect and communication. Those things we can establish through, you know, through means that, where we can have some time to build a BPU or build some sort of, you know, solution that will work for Gardner.
One thing, as long as you're talking about these different options, I want you to be aware, if we're talking about chartering out of state statute, there are statutory timeframes.
Right.
Yes, yes,
Okay, so,
Be in 45 days.
right.
that's correct.
All
You have to post, you have to do.
I just wanted you to be aware that
That's why
it takes
I
a while
prefer
to get
not
there.
make any focus.
Well, I haven't weighed in very much, I mean, I've taken it all in. I tend to agree with Christie on this. I always thought that the BPU was the way to go. And I'm worried that fixing this and with the time frame of the chartering out, the BPU is gonna get pushed back even further and further, and then it's budget, and then next thing you know, we haven't even done the BPU. So I would love for us to get outside input from the other people that know this, that can bring information, how other cities work, and actively, quickly, not in a rush. I don't want to write an ordinance that is bad and are illegal that, you know, in 5 years, but I think we can move forward quickly. And to Larry's point, yes, we are very dedicated, smart individuals, and I think we can handle the formation of a BPU in a quick manner and not have problems.
And I would agree with you on that as well, and I think that where we are right now is still deadlocked, but I think that we bring in somebody that's got expertise, that can present this to us so that we can move forward. I think that in the meantime, we need our colleagues at the Electric Utility Board and Gardner Energy to work inside of state statutes instead of, you know, there's items that are not afoul of state statute in 2296, and in those cases, you know, you can work from the dictates of 2296, but where you're in contrast or conflict or nonconformity with state statute, you need to conform with state statute until we can get this fixed. I'll be glad to contact Colin Hanson myself and ask him if he can come for a work session, you know, in January.
Well, since we had the original meeting on this, has there been any other violations? I mean, because regardless of whether we adopt a new ordinance, whatever is being done illegally should stop, right? And it certainly has.
I don't think that anything, you know, we approved some of their expenditures tonight. You were here for some of that, if not all, I don't remember for sure. I know you came in late. I know that they authorized a lease agreement, but I will tell you that those are for 2 trucks that they won't take delivery on until the fall of 2014, August at the earliest. That's about right, Bill? So we wouldn't be receiving any invoices for that before then?
That's correct.
Yeah, but
Now,
it's the contract that matters.
but my suggestion to them was that they send that contract to us for approval, and I got an email from Eric today that said that you'd be willing to package something up and send that to council, first meeting in January.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, that's
So-
all we've ever wanted, is to do
And
what
that's-
the ordinance we originally wrote allows us to do, which is have those expenditures come to us, and we approve them.
Yeah. Well, and I've made some suggestions to the board chairman. I've suggested to him that they should be looking at their expenditures every month. I suggested to him that they should be having meetings at the dais so that they can be recorded. I've suggested that he pay close attention to the memo so that they're not knowingly violating state statute. And in the meantime, we can get to work on the BPU, and you know, and maybe we don't get there, but at some point, we've got to be, I believe, we either have to have everything under city council control